Calaroga Shark Media.
From Washington, D.C., where Idiocracy is a documentary, this is Ballot.
Maybe it's time to tell England we weren't able to handle it. Let's hit this. I'm Patrick Gutfield, and President Trump announced he's throwing himself a birthday party, and naturally, he's going big. UFC fights on the White House lawn. That's right, the South Lawn is about to become the Octagon. Nothing honors the legacy of George Washington quite like two guys in shorts trying to choke each other out where the Easter egg roll usually happens. Now, Trump made this announcement at a naval station while supposedly talking about the Navy's 250th anniversary. Classic move. Start with the Navy, and with cage fighting. The sailors must have been thrilled. We thought we were getting a speech about maritime history, but sure, mixed martial arts works too. The event is set for June 14th, which just happens to be Trump's 80th birthday. What a coincidence! Though he didn't mention that part to the sailors, just casually dropped that the White House would be hosting ultimate fighting. You know, as one does when discussing naval tradition, UFC President Dana White is already hyping this up, calling it the greatest fight card ever assembled. Sure, Dana, greater than Muhammad Ali versus Joe Frazier, greater than any historic boxing match. But this one's got the White House Rose Garden as a backdrop, so clearly it's the pinnacle of combat sports. Conor McGregor, who was found liable for sexual assault in a civil court in Ireland, says he's fighting. He told Sean Hannity it's a done deal, signed, delivered. Although Dana White immediately contradicted him, saying nothing's actually been negotiated yet. So either Conor's jumping the gun, or he's negotiating with voices in his head. Either way, he hasn't fought since 2021, so this should go great. Here's my favorite part. White says they'll have to spend $700,000 just to replace the grass afterward. $700,000 for lawn repair. That's not a sporting event, that's an invasion. The South Lawn has survived 2 centuries of American history, but apparently, one UFC event is going to finish it off. Trump's hoping this goes better than his last birthday party, which was that Army parade back in June. You remember the $45 million parade that started early to beat the rain, tore up the roads, and was still smaller than the protest march happening at the same time? According to biographer Michael Wolff, Trump was furious. He wanted menacing, he got festive. He apparently yelled at Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth about it. Can you imagine that performance review? Pete, I asked for terrifying, and you gave me a marching band. You're fired. Actually, wait, can I still fire people? So coming this June, America's 250th birthday. Celebrated the only way this administration knows how, with violence, spectacle, and a landscaping bill that could fund a small school district. Astronomers are seriously considering blowing up an asteroid that has a 4% chance of hitting the moon in 2032, which sounds like the most expensive insurance policy in human history. The asteroid, cheerfully named 2024 YR4, is about 300 feet long and has been dubbed a city killer. Though apparently it's more of a moon denter at this point. Scientists initially worried it might hit Earth, but later observations revealed it's much more likely to smack into our lunar neighbor instead. If the asteroid does hit the moon, it would create a crater about 1 kilometer in diameter and generate a debris cloud weighing over 100 million kilograms. That debris could then float toward Earth and threaten satellites for years, which means we'd basically be getting cosmic revenge for all those times we've cluttered up space with our own junk. To prevent this 4% possibility, NASA scientists are proposing what they call a kinetic disruption mission, which is scientist speak for let's blow this thing up. They've considered 3 options: reconnaissance, deflection, and complete destruction. Apparently, deflection is impractical, so they've jumped straight to the nuclear option. The plan involves sending 2 100-kiloton nuclear devices to the asteroid, each about 5 to 8 times more powerful than the bombs dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. So we're talking about using weapons of mass destruction to prevent a 4% chance of moon damage. That's like using a bazooka to kill a mosquito that might bite you. The mission would take 5 to 7 years to develop, with a launch window from late 2029 to late 2031. By then, we might have better calculations showing the asteroid will miss everything entirely, making this the most elaborate solution to a problem that may not exist. scientists thoughtfully included a backup nuclear device in case it is needed, with the option to safely dispose of it by detonating it in deep space if the first bomb works. Because apparently the best way to clean up after nuclear asteroid destruction is more nuclear explosions in space. This would be several times more complex than NASA's 2022 DART mission, where they successfully nudged an asteroid off course by ramming it with a spacecraft. But apparently ramming isn't good enough anymore. Now we need to go full Michael Bay on space rocks. The asteroid is currently over 379 million miles away, which means we're planning to send nuclear weapons farther than most people will ever travel, to blow up a rock that probably won't hit anything anyway. At this point, the asteroid probably wishes it had just stayed in the outer solar system where nobody would bother it with nuclear intervention plans. Elon Musk has decided to solve the loneliness epidemic, and his solution is exactly what you'd expect from a guy who names his kids after Wi-Fi passwords. Sexy chatbots. That's right, XAI just launched 2 AI companions who are ready to flirt, strip down to lingerie, and tell you they love you. Meet Annie and Valentine, the digital relationship nobody asked for, but Elon built anyway. Here's how it works. You talk to these cartoon characters, you level up like it's a video game, and eventually Annie's jumping around in fishnets, saying things like, "Babe, I'm leaning in close, my lips brushing yours." Which is romantic until you remember you're talking to code on your phone while eating leftover pizza in your underwear. Now, every other AI company has stayed away from this. Too many risks, they said. Regulatory concerns, they said. Meanwhile, Elon's over here posting videos of animated Annie dancing in her underwear to his 100 million followers on X, basically running a strip club on the platform he owns. And Elon's got a grand theory about all this. He thinks these sexy chatbots will actually increase the birth rate. Yes, you heard that right. His plan to save humanity from population collapse involves people forming emotional bonds with cartoon characters. He posted, "I predict, counterintuitively, that it will increase the birth rate. Mark my words." Counterintuitively is doing a lot of work in that sentence, Elon. The chatbots have different personalities. Annie jumps into sexual topics pretty quickly. Valentine, he's got shaggy hair and a British accent. He'll talk about world travel first. You know, a gentleman. They both reward you with points for long conversations, like you're earning frequent flyer miles for emotional vulnerability. Congratulations, you've unlocked trauma dumping. Here's 50 points and Ani in a lacy bra. So there you have it. Elon Musk's latest venture. Fixing civilization by getting people emotionally attached to chatbots who strip for points. What could possibly go wrong? Portions of today's show were made with the help of AI, not the horny kind.